You realize that 2.6 million people lives are saved in the United States every year by everyday blow Joe like me that might want to carry a weapon. How many
Two
schools?
2.6 million. I mean, that
2.6 million.
So this is a perfect example of Republicans not understanding numbers, because 2.6 million people is just short of 1% of the entire United States population every single year being saved by a random guy with a gun. And so if this really happened every single year with 2.6 million people, pretty much everybody you know would have some sort of story about being saved by a random guy with a gun.
I don't know where that number would possibly come from, because
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you, fact check it if you don't believe me. But it's well over 2 million. It might not be 2.6, but it's well over 2 million. You can fact check it.
Okay, I love the invitation to fact check. That is absolutely amazing, and he really set himself up for failure on this one.
So fact check, are guns used 1.5 million times per year to save lives? The claim is the U.S. Justice Department conservatively estimated that guns are used 1.5 million times per year, and then it's false.
It's what?
False. It's not true.
Well,
I love that reaction. Just, well, I mean, everything that I said was completely wrong. Not only did I cite a fake number, but I actually overinflated that fake number. And I was obviously proven wrong with a very easy fact check. But, you know, why change your mind at all? Because really, at the end of the day, how important is it that what we say is true? What is truth even? But honestly, that's kind of how Republicans think. Republicans, as a general rule, don't really care about what is or isn't true. They care about what feels true to them. And unfortunately, a lot of Republicans have really bought into this sort of main character syndrome. This idea that they are the most important person in the world, that we live in a highly individualistic society where the only person that matters is them. They are somehow magically going to become a millionaire, who also at the same time has the government conspiring against them and is also living the life of John Rambo. I mean, seriously, anybody that casually knows a Republican has probably heard them rant about what they would do during a zombie apocalypse. I mean, quite literally, why do they obsess over these ridiculous fantasies where they are allowed to commit gratuitous violence against people? Because that's really what it is, and that's why they choose zombies as their go-to of like, oh, what if there's a zombie apocalypse? It would give me an excuse to like go around and shoot random people. That's really what's going on in their mind. They just sort of couch it in fantasy because they want to have some sort of illusion that that's not what they're actually saying. But these Republicans in their fantasies reveal themselves to be very selfish people. This person knows on an intellectual level that it's literally just not true that 2.6 million people are saved by a random guy with a gun. But this guy is indulging himself in the fantasy that at some point in time he will be the random guy with a gun that saves the day, because of course he's the main character, just like every other Republican is. So why wouldn't saving somebody with a gun be a regular everyday occurrence in the United States? Because of course, if it's going to happen to him, it's going to happen to all the other main characters too. And that just really shows how silly these Republicans are. But there's actually a real danger in this silliness, because when you start to think of yourself as the main character, you start to actively dehumanize basically everybody else on the planet. You start to think of other people as non-entities. You don't recognize that other people have their own thoughts and feelings and opinions about the world. You just see them as characters in your life. And if they're just characters in your life, well, then they can just be throwaway characters, couldn't they? And so they don't recognize the complete humanity of people around them, or even the communities that they themselves are a part of. They just see themselves as the center of the entire universe, which is why they're so willing to shrug off the deaths of children that they don't know in schools during school shootings, because to them, those children don't even really exist, because to them, reality doesn't really exist. The only thing that exists is themselves and their beliefs about the world. And when you have an entire political party that is wrapped up in that type of extreme belief about the self and individualism, what you end up with is a society that fundamentally fails to care for basically everybody, including these people who think that they're the main character. Because if society begins to care for nobody, that includes the people who think that they're somebody.